Hi, and welcome to the latest episode of the Coaches Dugout podcast, a podcast for coaches by coaches. Now, if you're listening in and you're watching in, please do not forget to follow us on YouTube. You're on YouTube, you're on Spotify as well. And Earl Sports Singapore is the proud apparel sponsor for the Coaches Dugout. So catch them as well. They are on IG, so it's Earl Sport Singapore. Now, very, very delighted to have my next guest on the show. He comes with a great CV, having worked with players like Mateo Kovacic of Chelsea, Milan's Ante Rebic, and Inter's Marcelo Brozovic. Now, he has also worked with the Croatian Football Federation as the S&C coach for their youth sides. Now, we will just talk about these terms later on as we come in, because some of you do not know what the terms are, right? And he spent 4.5 years at the renowned Aspire Academy in Qatar, right? And he joined the LCS in February this year as their head of performance. Now, welcome to the Coaches Dugout podcast, Mr. Mario Jovanovic.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Today's episode, by the way, is on because the past episodes we've done episodes on the role of head coaches, assistant coaches, dealing with the media as well, and academy coaches. We had Luca in as well as a guest. But today's episode, we want to talk more about the fitness aspect of football and the fitness coach. So, but you are, of course, the head of performance, right? It's roles and what have you. But we want to talk specifically about the fitness aspect of football, right? But before that, congratulations, Mr. Mario, on LCS winning the league. And how has it been so far here in Singapore? Is this your first time in Singapore?
Yes, that's my first time in Singapore
right
now.
So how's the experience like? Or how has it been so far?
Well, thank you for congrats, and thank you for basically following us, because this season has been ups and downs with the COVID stuff, and all of the clubs have suffered a lot this season. But we made it through until the end, and final round, and we made it. We pulled through the finish in the first spot. That's rewarding as well. I'm happy for Singaporean fans as well, because it's been long awaited. So
you heard about that as well.
I heard. Well, the players shared. I didn't know that much, but
it's been a long time.
It's been a long time since the Singaporean team won the league. So very happy for that.
But in that's football, right? How in terms of the life and what have you, the food and how did you cope? Is it easy?
Very easy, easy and convenient in Singapore. Whether you want to make it yourself or maybe you opt out for takeout, it's very easy and convenient.
Right.
Very happy for that. I have my family here finally.
Nice.
It's been I spent a lot of months alone.
Okay.
Most of the season alone because of the measures, and simply it was not possible to bring them in. But now finally, it's been rewarding to
nice.
months.
So everyone's here with you.
Everyone's here. Yeah.
Beautiful. You can do your work in peace as well, right?
Yeah.
Now let's go back a little bit, right? How did you get started in the fitness aspect of coaching? The fitness side of coaching, but obviously. To tell us that story, probably you need to tell us your story in terms of you playing.
The story, So basically, I also come from a background of actually training and playing football for throughout my youth career, and then I had a few years in first team football, but to be honest, it was very short as well and abrupt. So I was also good in studies. I was not that bad in school, so I had that options to choose.
Not a lot of footballers can say that.
Not a lot of footballers can say that, but anyways, that was a blessing in disguise, because basically I had my ACL tear in my second year playing in first team football, and at the time I was already going to university, and I decided basically conservatively to treat my knee and just follow my passion. I was pretty passionate about all you call it fitness, conditioning, whatever you like. Pretty passionate, so I pursued that that career in the end.
but that was an early stage of your career as well, and to actually think about I think maybe I'm not going to do as in play, but go into the science of
it's
it,
true.
right? Yeah?
But it was a slow transition to. I still, when you're 20 some years old, you still don't know whether you're up for a career in football on the coaching side of things, or even as a player. You're always hoping as a player and dreaming that maybe you can play, but but I had pretty clear in my mind
Okay.
that maybe my limits were met, so
Right.
it was an easy escape
Ah.
from the professional football.
And at that time, right, do you think that, I mean, you know, with the injuries and stuff like that, and you decided, okay, no, I'm going into the science of it. Do you think then that at that time that, you know, I'm really going to full on be a coach, but specifically to the fitness side?
To be honest, I didn't have that clear idea from the start. But my biggest catalyst was just getting to know what's happening and why I'm suffering. I had many injuries during my career, I would say, and not something usual. So then I was just, started exploring. Okay, what can I do to prevent that? What I need to do? Then you start researching and reaching out to experts, and obviously I was on the university just studying sports science, so it was much easier to get those people around me to help me actually. So and every new step you take, the more doors, more questions open. So then basically you start exploring that rabbit hole, and you dig deep, and you just never stop.
Nice.
And that's the way how you actually came about to be
how
a fitness
about
coach.
how about the coaching part, as in the coaching part itself? Did you, like, along the way took your badges as well, as in the CED or whatever?
So that's a usual approach from people moving away from football. If they're really passionate in football, they are thinking about coaching degrees. So very early on I started taking them. So I have my UEFA A coaching license as well.
Okay.
But then as I was finishing my master's, then went on for the PhD, taking the courses there. So then basically I got offered, maybe you can teach that physical side of things, and whatever you are doing is so also some performance analysis and these things to the coaches itself. So then basically I became a student and a teacher in the same kind of double role for some time. I was very fortunate in a right spot at the right time. But that kind of opened up a lot of connections and a lot of opportunities, I would say.
And I think it's beautiful as well to actually stay in the game.
Yeah.
The game that you play and the game you love as well, right?
And
like you said, you were quite fortunate to be in that, that time and the right time and right space.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about LCS and what you do slightly later on. Specifically, right, what does an S&E coach or a fitness coach, or whatever you want to call it, right, because there are many terms. What do they do specifically in a club setting? Let's say I'm an S&C coach in a club, right? What do you do?
You take care about all things physical. So you take care about all the details on and off the pitch. At least you try to, depending on the limitations you have to work around. So the coaches are, let's say, looking at the technical and the tactical side of things. Us, let's say, from the sports science side, SNCs, rehab guys, we are trying to look after the players so that we are taking care of their athlete development along also preparing them for actually what we want, a result at the end. But so I would say, like, one part of the puzzle would be the performance side of things, and all things performance basically come down to me and the guys in the club. And
it's a huge role, isn't it? I mean, you can say, what people can look from the outside and say, you are the person behind the main role, right? But it is a huge role. Even if you're talking about recovery from injury, for example, right? And the fitness aspect, it's a huge role.
It is. It's a big part, but we don't need to overblown things. Like, it really depends on the environment where you're working at. The bigger the club, the bigger the league, the bigger the demands on that performance staff is. Like, you're looking now at staff in all over Europe, and it's mind-boggling how many people are working and how many pieces of the puzzle there is. So here at the moment we have certain limitations that we need to work around. So that's a big part of our work, is how to adapt to those things and slowly bring novelty and push the needle forward.
And you talk about the puzzles, right? The different puzzles, right? What do you think about a throwing coach?
What do you mean? Throwing toe?
Yeah,
throwing
coach
toe.
specific for throwing, right?
That's very specific.
Yeah,
That's very specific. But there is a role for that.
Yeah.
There is a role for that.
And I want the next question I want to ask you is, right, what are the important qualities do you need to be a fitness coach or SSE coach? Is there any specific qualities?
Well, I would say, like, starting from working in a team environment, the most difficult thing is the adaptability. So I would say adaptability. I know a lot of colleagues who are very theoretical, very deep into science stuff as well. But when it comes down to practice, many of the things need to be like adjusted, and then it's difficult. So I would say adaptability would be a high priority for an SNC on a performance staff. Adaptability around the players you're working, around the coaches, in terms of their demands, and so again, another very important aspect of being a performance staff would be just eager to learn and have a growth mindset constantly, because there are novel approaches and there are multiple ways to success. There's not only one.
Right.
So being open to changes, and flexible enough to.
It also comes down with a little bit of experience. I mean, the experience will help you. You talk about the theory part, right? Because I can know everything under the sun in terms of the book, but when you go out there on the pitch, it's
and experience is something you cannot buy or learn in a book.
Yeah. We talk about the qualities, right? In terms of qualification, in a pro club setting, okay, forget about the rest, right? In a pro club setting, what are the qualifications that you need to be a fitness coach?
The higher the better. Ideally, why you see a big trend now in the world, like the performance staff is basically guys all the way from masters to PhDs in sports science. And even then, inside of those areas, you have different specialties. People taking care more of the data side of things and looking at numbers more. You have guys looking at different methodologies of recoveries on player rehab, return to training, return to play stuff. Why? Because in the big game, it actually, player availability is actually money. You have guys who are earning millions. So the longer they can stay on the pitch, the better for the club. Every day loss for the club is hundreds of thousands of.
This reminds me of Sergio Ramos right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Something like that.
But to be fair to Sergio Ramos, he's an unbelievable professional. One of the guys who is pushing himself in this with the years he has is unbelievable. But that's a new trend coming up, and probably you're reading all around that with the players like Cristiano. Sergio Ramos and the likes. These guys are actually just the start of a new trend where athletes are reaching out to specialists. They're actually paying that out of their pocket if the club is not doing it, and they have a one-to-one coaching most of the time.
It's I mean, whichever way you put it, it's a good trend. Anyway,
it is for them.
Them it prolongs their career, and then look what has it got.
And
them,
for the sports as well, because now if you look just at the numbers, like the average age of a player has moved from in the past 10 years from 24.5 to 26.6. So it is a trend where you're basically having now more experienced players delivering more beauty to the game itself,
and quality as well.
And quality. I'm just reminded, like, constantly, because I'm a Croatian fan. So Luka Modric is now he has taken the captain's armband recently, and he is playing his best game. He's a Ballon d'Or winner, so Golden Ball winner previously, and now he's playing even better than in the year he won that. So it's you know, for me it's amazing, and one thing is very important: you cannot reach that stage if you're not taking care of yourself like 100%, because mostly what the young athletes don't understand. It's when you're young, a lot of things can be your body forgives you.
Yes.
But what as you grow older, as you and me
Yes.
know, like things are not
Right.
not easy.
True,
They're
true.
getting harder and harder.
Yes, yes.
So them taking care of the nutrition side of things, recovery, sleep, lifestyle as well, and then the training itself.
This Mario, you've made a very, it's a great point. It's a very important point, and the players who are listening in or watching in, players from LCS and wherever, in the clubs in Singapore, you need to understand that yes, you may be young, but you can't eat everything and anything. It doesn't work that way. You might think that it works that way because you can do it right now, but it will affect you at the later stages of your career.
Exactly, and that's what you just mentioned now is a key point, like what they are doing and what they are eating. Like I would just remind the players here in Singapore and in the region, like the food itself, it's amazing taste, but in terms of performance, it's actually detrimental.
Yeah.
So take care of what you're eating, and whenever you need a reference, just go onto Instagram and see what the players are posting there.
Yeah.
Because you'll see, like I don't see any more players posting like eating junk food anymore. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And that's good because they are role models.
Correct.
And the youngsters need to. They're spending their days on Instagram. True. So it's better if they're watching something positive and.
Now, what are your thoughts on a fitness coach, right? I mean, obviously you have a cert or badge in actual football coaching, right? What do you think a fitness coach being specifically a fitness coach? That means you are a specialist. You can't, like, if you're a specialist means you can't, like, be a head coach. Have you ever thought of being a head coach?
No, never.
Why not?
I don't have an interest. So I was coaching a bit like a coach, like being a coach, and that's fine. But there are certain limitations where a head coach needs to be a person with a lot of obviously experience, with a lot of charisma, and that's carrying a lot a different kind of weight. I'm more into growth and into helping the players transform from one thing into another. Yeah. I'm not saying that the head coach doesn't do that. He actually does that. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that my interest and my passion is more into those physical side of things than into the technical and tactical side of things. Right. Not that I really enjoy that one as well, but it's a whole different ball game. Yeah. It's another rabbit hole that you need to start exploring young.
It's a different dynamics altogether. The head coach and so. But do you think a fitness coach can be a head coach?
I would say no.
Ah, okay. Good point.
No, I would say no.
Yeah.
I would say no. If you cannot just transition from a fitness coach to being a coach. It's completely a different perspective.
Nice.
I would not say it's impossible. Yeah. I would just say it's highly unlikely that a fitness coach will become a head coach.
So more or less it's a specialist kind of role. Yeah.
It is. But also, to be fair, we need to understand that now more and more there's that gap between performance and the technical side of football, like tactics side, and the bridge actually is becoming smaller and smaller because the coaches on one side, the new breed of coaches, knows a lot about the science and the background of whatever we are trying to do. And as well, like myself, you have a lot of performance coaches and performance staff who are actually also certified coaches. But that they took that effort in order to bridge that gap and for us to come in the common ground. And the higher understanding from both sides is the easier it is to work.
Nice. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about LCS, right? When you were first offered the job to be at LCS, what was the project like, or was there a target for you?
Yeah, exactly. So the target and why I actually came here, like I was looking for first team experience. Being I worked back at home in Croatia with the youth and with the national teams and in the academy environment as well, and then a little bit in the first team as well. Transitioning after that to international Aspire Academy back in Qatar, spent there almost 5 years, 4.5 years. it's been very rewarding, but also taxing, because you know the academy work is it's not 9 to 5. It's like 6 to 9 p.m. So it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop, and it's I was looking for something where I can now use all that experience that I have and channel more through going after competition a bit more. So why I liked the LCS project. First of all, I saw the vision from the president, Forrest Lee, and that's something that I really like on the first go, and because I saw there are plans to make facilities that will match the requirement to reach not Singapore level, but to have an outreach outside of in whole Asia. So basically, that's something I really liked, the project and the people that I communicated with, the general manager and the guys in the club. I really like. So from the personal side of things, I think the most important thing is when you're working with someone that you can relate and that you see the passion on both sides, that then you know that you're in a good project and you have the possibility to make great things. Nice. So that's what I liked.
Was there any challenges that you faced? Like little challenges that I mean, you already signed the contract and stuff or whatever, right? But in terms of the operational side of things, were there any challenges that you faced?
Well, the challenges here in Singapore are more or less for all the clubs similar. We the most basic thing is just having the playing surface high quality. Right. Unfortunately, we don't have it yet, but I think that the league is awakening, and there are certain aspects even from the government that they are trying to push things. So I believe that in the future things will get better from that side. We see now Bishan Stadium getting the new turf there. Our camp is going to be hopefully finished in a couple of months as well there. So the facility side of things is a big challenge, because the athletes, the players, they need the best conditions to train, and that's the minimum. And then we can start talking about everything else. So I would say that's the biggest downside. The challenges, like all the other clubs here as well, we were facing was COVID. So one of the things that we were missing, that's kind of even impossible to think of, like the players just didn't have enough strength training. They didn't have a proper development in that aspect, because you just cannot get a gym. You cannot go inside and you cannot work out. So we tried to improvise it. We were doing it on the pitch itself. It's not the best, but I would say it satisfied just the maintenance part.
Nice.
Yeah.
When you first came, right, what was your opinion on the standard of the football itself? Like when you first came, when you first.
To be honest, I was expecting much worse.
Yeah.
I'm very very happy with the level of talent I see here in Singapore. Is on par like everywhere else.
Right.
Is on par.
Nice. Is there any situation where a player questions your methods? Your methodology. Yeah.
I would say that you always have players doubting, and that's a good thing, because.
How do they express it? Do they tell you, or?
Well, you can obviously you can pick it up.
Okay.
With experience, you can pick it up. You know the cues, but on the other hand, it's one of those things where if a player is doubting certain new things happening, that's actually good, because he's actually taking care of himself.
Okay.
But that's the acute effect that you get. But hopefully the chronic effect is that he understands that that's something good for him, and in the long run he's the one benefiting. Like that's something big mindset shift, is that I know that sometimes the perception of a fitness coach can be as a tormentor, or someone who is pushing your boundaries until you vomit. That's not the case. I'm all about smart training and slowly, like pulling your plateau up, or
progression.
Slowly. It's a slow cooker, and the process is organic, because sometimes obviously we want to do things fast. But ideally we want the process to become organic, where the players can express themselves. And also we are able to carry out whatever we planned out for them. So
Nice. Um, you know, you are a fitness coach and a head of performance and what have you at LCS, right? What is the job satisfaction? If you were to look at it in that way, right? What is your job satisfaction looking at the overall picture?
What do you mean exactly?
Like, I don't know. What brings you satisfaction from maybe this season, for example, right? As the head of performance.
Okay. Well, it brings me satisfaction to see that the players are actually really responsive and positive in terms of everything that like we try to work on during the season.
Right.
I see, even though maybe my perception, my view of performance things is not only on paper and in KPIs and numbers. It's more in small changes that I see, because I know how little change of how you are moving can actually prolong your career, can make you better, even though you don't know it. So that's something that satisfies me, because I'm looking at those small details.
Have you seen it this year?
I've seen it.
Just one specific example of something that you've seen.
So just for an instance, we are working like in a week.
Right.
Let's say in season, you have certain program is running and it looks similar to the player.
Okay.
But to myself, I know what is different.
Right.
And then when I see that small progression that I made, and that the players didn't even notice it, that's satisfaction for me, because I know that I'm pushing their plateau up. I know that I'm pushing their limits a little bit higher, and that's very subtle. That's very subtle, because in first team the changes cannot be big.
Yep.
So
and the change, that small change, could prove to be the difference between winning or losing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But at the end, like, I'm not looking things short term, because 1 week is short term, 1 month is short term.
Right.
In the time span of a career of football player, that's very short term.
Yeah.
But the growth mindset needs to basically, the players need to change the way how they see performance side of things, and I hopefully now they slowly will. Yeah.
This is a question that I just came up with, like, and then I just thought about it. I mean, not only at LCS. I mean, in your previous experiences as well, right? Have you ever been blamed as the fitness coach for, I don't know, a game went on, right, and you lost the game, and then you get the blame for lack of fitness or whatever?
To be honest, I would just say that I've been fortunate enough that I work with very good coaches that understand football on the grand scheme of, like a bit. They have a perception of football in a different way, and their understanding is, if someone is blaming an individual for the result, then we have a problem.
True.
If you get my point.
So you've been lucky.
I've been lucky in my career, but I would say that, like, coming back, like, all jokes aside, it's in team environment, everything is multifactorial.
Yeah.
Like, the performance of the team depends on not only the player himself, and not only on the coach.
Yeah.
It depends on all the rest, not only who are playing, but also who are sitting on the bench, and all the guys in the background. Yeah. So it's a little bit different playing tennis than football. You have to agree.
Individual, right?
You have to agree, because there, if something goes wrong on that day when you are competing, let's say Novak Djokovic is competing and something is off that day, Novak Djokovic can explain to someone else, his fitness coach or his coach, look, today I felt crap. Something is off. What did we do wrong this week? But in football, where you have so many entities there, it's whenever you find yourself in a situation that someone is blaming one entity for something, then you have a much bigger problem.
Correct.
Yeah.
You worked with some of the top pro previously, right? And can you share, like, one similarity or any differences with the players at LCS in terms of their physical capacity?
To be fair, and with all due respect to all the players that I work with, I wouldn't draw any comparisons there, because it's it's not. I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable comparing things. I would just say.
Okay, but physical wise, okay, let's take the in Europe, for example, the European players and Asian players. You see the differences in terms of the physique, the power, and what have you.
I would say that there has to be a fundamental level of athleticism that a player needs to have, and I can see that base level exists here, same like it exists in back home and in Europe and in South America. It's all the same. We are playing in a game that's very diverse. You have players like Messi who are very small. Then you have players who are 2 meters tall. So it is diverse. What I would say in terms of physicality is just maybe the difference between the our league where we are at the moment and with the top is just the dedication from very early on, from the childhood. Most of the guys that you see now playing in Europe, they couldn't finish their university because they were so dedicated to training and to their performance, using specialist coaches for certain things. But I would not say that they're on the extreme end of athleticism in football. Because in football, there are a couple of extremes like Mbappe and the guys who are the fastest, and then you have very strong guys in this. But it's always a range. So it doesn't matter, the talent wise. Obviously, some players are maybe that's inherited. Maybe that's something that you. If you're living in a culture where everyone is so passionate about football, like in Brazil, and you're watching, or places in Europe, obviously, while you're growing up, something changes in your mindset, and you're looking things in different ways. So I don't know. Here in Singapore, I see there is a lot of talent, but I see a lot of opportunities just from the performance side of things to move things forward. And that's probably. Why it's very positive for LCS to hire Coach Kim from Korea, because as you know, Koreans, and you just saw it now playing against our national team, there is physicality there. Okay, we are not comparing our population here and the standards and Korean standards. I'm just talking about the physicality that you can see between different countries. So that means that they dedicated in their playing, in their athlete development, that they dedicate a lot of time to that. But also they also select the players in a certain way. But again, that's something that I see as an opportunity, not as a negative thing. Like I said.
I talked about Europe and what have you. That within Asia as well, you can see the differences, like you said,
huge differences. Huge differences.
Brilliant.
But I think we have a good fundamentals now in the club to push things forward, and I believe that all of the players coming in, joining us, and will benefit. Will benefit.
You spoke about Coach Kim just now. How closely do you work with him? How does the relationship go, like in a day-to-day basis?
Well, we are working like as you would expect in a normal stuff, like sharing things, planning together. Obviously, he has the highest responsibility for him is in terms of result, in terms of player selection, in terms of the way how we're gonna play, what is our strategy, the game model, and these things, and that's the burden that the head coach needs to carry on. But what I like about Coach Kim is he's very big on getting the players more physical and improving their physicality. And when you have that from a head coach who is pushing that, that's very important, because that opens the door for all of us actually to give more to the players, because the more time we have with the players, the more we can actually help them. That's how I see things, and I think that if you talk with the players themselves, they will say that this season we pushed the envelope few times that they were probably never pushed like that in their lives.
Are you talking about in games as well? Not
I'm talking about training sessions.
Actually. But the results can be seen in the games as well.
Yeah.
Some games you push all the way till the end, you know, with the
Exactly.
last minute goals and what have you, right?
Yeah.
So there you go.
But that's
it translates.
It translates there, but what you need to do in a training session, you need to prepare yourself for that.
Right.
And the game is always going to be more demanding because the psychological side of things. But yeah, physically, I always like to say we have a marathon. You know, like 90 minutes of football game is something exceptional. I even question the sanity of that, to be honest, because when you're looking at
it's weird coming from
it's unbelievable.
True.
Anyone played 90 minutes of a highly competitive game understands what I'm talking about now, so they will relate.
You know, this is my thinking, right? Anyone who goes through a match and coming off the match feeling okay and you can smile and you can talk about it, then you haven't gone through the match.
That's a win.
You know?
That's a win.
Yeah, exactly. and I like the point where you said that Kim is also big on the physicality part, because if you have a head coach who doesn't really into that part, then you have a problem as well.
Exactly.
You know, it doesn't work that way.
Exactly, because then your time is limited to the players. And how we are working now, we actually, I would say that we expanded like the minutes with the players drastically. Maybe on average we have more than 2-hour sessions and stuff like that. That's normal. And obviously it's not all high intensity and these things, but if you're thinking about it logically, we have a 90 minutes game. Plus you have that warm-up. It is 120-minute activity during weekends. So you need to prepare for that. Sometimes we're not.
And I was talking to Haris before as well. He was talking about Kim coming in, asking the players to do pull-ups and stuff. Before
exactly. And there has to be a certain standard of that as well.
Right.
Because that's part of your athlete development. You know, before you are a football player, you need to be an athlete, because too many times you see that. Talented players, it's all fine, but he's good for 30 minutes of the game. So I ask you now, if you were a coach and you have a very talented player who can give you an edge, but you know that he's only able to play 30 minutes of the game, and you have 3 subs, you're in a pickle.
Right.
You're in a pickle because every now and then he's gonna get you something. But there's no consistency over time.
And again, you know, we're talking about this. It's for education and educating the players, educating the fans as well who's listening in. And too many times in the past, right? I can tell you for sure because I played here and I know what's happening, right? Too many times in the past where we have players who are technically superb and what have you, but they cannot pass a certain standard in terms of the fitness wise, and then they start complaining that I'm a good player, I'm this, I'm that. But football is changing. You can't just stand in the center circle and do your Jan Molby 10-meter passes all day long, right? So people need to realize that you need to be at the top of your game physically, mentally, and everything, right? To actually
and that physicality is just the start. That's where your game starts. When you satisfy that physicality side of things, that's when your game starts. That's where your talent can be shown. Only then. Only then.
Can I ask you, what are the little changes that you made or the initiatives that you have introduced ever since you joined in Feb?
Yeah, I would say there were not big changes per se, but there were small, minor tweaks along the way that we are doing. And then we are constantly actually doing, and we need to be very flexible because we are changing venues, training venues. Then we are working in certain limitations that we have at the moment. We don't have our own home venue.
True.
So basically we are constantly kind of,
it's a logistics problem as
problem, I would say. But again, the guys in the club, everyone in the club, they are making a humongous effort. And I think if the players knew how much the people are working in the background, they would appreciate everyone much more.
Nice.
Then again, like I said, strength was one of the components that was very lacking because of this COVID time. So we tried a lot of things on the field, and we tried to do best as we could. I'm not that happy, but I'm happy that at least the players got to experience something. And now, coming season, there are big plans for that, and we are moving a bit more aggressive on that side, I would say.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Can I ask you, in your role as the head of performance, do you also oversee the academy sides, the youth, the elite teams?
No. Basically, I'm just taking care of the first team, and I'm in a contact with Mark in the academy. We see each other every now and then, but they have their own setup there, their own work. It's just because the biggest reason is that we are basically separate. We train in one venue. They train on Matar there, so they're completely different schedules.
But I'm just asking you because your experience and you were at Aspire in Qatar, right? At what age should there be testing on youth players? At what is there like a you can't do testing for players who are under 12s, for example?
I don't see testing as that, but I would say that testing starts very early on.
Yeah.
The sooner the better. Like same for conditioning side of things.
Yeah.
You start skill development, but in the same time you're basically learning them how to move. Learning them how to move is part of coordination that doesn't stop. It's part of conditioning overall that doesn't stop as long as you're an athlete.
Right.
So the early the better, because that monitoring can actually help the staff to inform what they need to do, what they are lacking, just to understand better the athletes they're working with. So the sooner the better, I would say.
And the players can know about themselves as well, after
exactly,
the testing that has been
exactly.
done, right?
That's a feedback loop that's important, not only for staff.
Yeah.
It's for the players itself.
I want to ask you this: in a pro club, when first day of pre-season, when the players come in, I think that's big, right? Because you are now the head, and you do all the. What are the kind of tests that you usually do and you pick up from there?
Yeah, it really depends on the strategy that you are choosing for the pre-season. Like for instance, we have the testing that's being done by the FA, so we try to align our testing with that one.
Okay.
But our testing is maybe the player perception also about testing is a bit wrong. Is in terms of someone is testing me or someone wants to see where. It's actually for their benefit to see where is our starting point.
Yeah.
It's not because the planning and all the periodization that we do is based mostly on that. Like obviously you have with certain experience, and especially in the first team football, it's usually you already know what your preseason look like.
Yeah.
Like the exercise selection and this. But then when you really have a performance group that can objectively measure what's happening during the training sessions, then you can actually use the data from GPS, from the performance testing to know this is our starting point. We shouldn't be doing more. We shouldn't be doing less. This is our optimal working range, and just simple as that. This is in layman's term. Obviously, there are some a little bit more intricacies inside of that, but overall, it's more or less to inform. Like obviously, on our side, what we're going to be focusing on is just going to be a little bit more on power performance, because that's something that we're going to be working on this season.
Okay.
So just to monitor and to see the progress of the players, and that can inform us long term. So that's going to be one of the novelties for this season that we're introducing. So recently we just hired also another colleague from Aspire, Firdaus.
Okay.
So basically his role is, we describe it as physiologist or a person, basically a sports scientist who is taking care of all the data, so centralizing all the data there and monitoring the players. So that's going to be a big part of our work now, that we understand what's happening with the player a bit more.
Did he have a spell in Liverpool?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. I'm glad that I asked that question. You know why? Because it's the same, right? When a player comes in for day one and he does testing, and the perception is kind of, is like, oh, I'm being tested, and it's like a pass or a fail kind of thing.
True. So it's nothing of that sort.
Yeah.
At least, obviously, that changes from the perspective, maybe from your past experiences.
Yeah, right.
Like maybe if you had in the past had a coach who is, I don't know, maybe being more aggressive with that, or setting certain benchmark that you need to pass or something. Yeah, I look more like I'm not that type of a coach that likes to compare players.
Yeah.
I very seldomly do that.
Right.
Only if a player is asking me, hey, can you tell me where my no.
Okay.
I try to avoid that because that's
Right.
not the point of it. I'm looking at every athlete as individual. We are in a team sport, but the team averages and these things are something just to inform the coach and the backroom staff that we need to understand where we are moving.
Yeah.
But the performance tests or any other benchmark like GPS benchmark or whatever is position specific and is person individually specific to himself. So we are making effort to look at things relative to the player itself, not in absolute terms.
Listen, this is exactly what this podcast is all about. I mean, if you're listening and you're watching this, and you will understand why. In the past, we usually have a one-size-fits-all kind of training. Even with the testing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's different. Things are moving in a different direction where things are the players are being tested, but looking at individually, training wise as well, and position specific.
Yeah, they have to be.
Yeah,
they have to
and it's brilliant. It's brilliant knowledge as well. So thanks for that, Mario. Now before we go, Mario, any advice for a coach who has the interest in this path, this fitness coaching path or SNC and what have you, and any advice for them? Let's say I'm coming out, I'm doing a degree in sports science, for example.
I would say just reach out as soon as possible to the environments and to maybe people you would like to be exposed to, because I would say our work, so the theoretical part you will get in the university, and maybe you will get on certain specialized courses, and
right.
all that is good, but having hands-on with the athletes itself, it's experience you cannot buy and you cannot read. So the more you have your hands dirty, the better. So I would say as soon as possible, reach out and volunteer, do an internship. I would say that would be the best advice. Along that one, I would say reach as far out as you can. Reach outside of Singapore.
Nice.
Go to Europe. Go to US. Anyone who can go to Russia, go to Russia. So everything, all the periodization stuff and all the track and field. Development.
Mario is being very specific. Russia, that's the place to be.
No. Historically, just have a look. Just read some of the stuff from the 70s that been published.
Right.
It's unbelievable that.
Would you say they were ahead of their time, or ahead of time, right?
Yeah. Definitely, ahead of their time.
Amazing.
And but yes, those are some of the advices that I would say. Like I was fortunate enough that early in my career I was exposed to coaches who have that kind of knowledge and awareness of where are we, where am I. So just stay humble, have a growth mindset, and go for it. And have the passion, obviously. You need to have a big passion for this one, because you need to suffer along the way as well.
Any last words for the LCS players? They're listening to this, you're watching
players?
Yeah, LCS.
No. Looking forward seeing them again, especially the guys in the national team. So,
yes.
So big shout out to the national team players, and I wish them big success. So at the time of the recording, it's not yet Suzuki Cup, so I wish them the best of luck in Suzuki Cup, and to see them in well shape after that one, rejoining LCS.
Mr. Mario Jovanovic, thank you so much for being here for the Coaches Dugout podcast. It has been absolutely brilliant. And we talked about a few things that is will definitely open up the minds of fans, coaches even, and players. I think they need to listen to this, and that has been brilliant. So do not forget to follow us on IG. We're on IG, Spotify, YouTube as well. We are there, so do not forget to follow us there. Click on the follow and subscribe button as well, and don't forget we are also sponsored by Earl Sport Singapore, so thank you, and check them out on IG as well. And good luck, Mr. Mario, for the future, and as well as for LCS as well. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you for having me.